We will begin in the next 5 minutes. Please hold on.
Yes, sir. Very good morning. We'll start another 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, no issue, sir.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the management of the college, Principal Professor Preeta D. Malia, Vice Principal Dr. Roger De Silva, I extend a warm welcome to the participants from across the country and also my fellow colleagues to one-day national online workshop on Nuances of Writing Successful Research Proposal for Funding Agencies, organized by the Research Cell of BVM's Shree Damodar College of Commerce and Economics, Margao-Goa. I am Ms. Samiksha Vengurlekar, Assistant Professor in English, your host for today. In the contemporary times, research has become a prime requirement for the career advancement of the teaching fraternity. Realizing the need of the hour, the research cell of our college proposed to conduct this workshop. The research cell of our college strives to promote a research culture amongst the faculty members. The activities of the cell range from conducting timely research presentations of individual teachers to conducting FDPs to update them with the current research trends. At the onset, let me request our Vice Principal, Dr. Rodney De Silva, to address our enthusiastic participants.
Good morning.
Good morning,
It
sir.
is my privilege. It's my privilege to welcome Dr. Krishnamurti of Kongu Engineering College, Erode. Sir, hearty welcome to you, and thank you for obliging us with your time. Today, Dr. Krishnamurti is going to speak to us on a very important for obtaining funding from funding agencies. And this topic becomes all the more important because in the new NEP 2020, a lot of money will be available for research purposes, and writing a good proposal to obtain funds, and just like the ma'am Compare has said, for research and for career advancement, these act as big pluses. So I appeal to all my colleagues to pay rapt attention to what Dr. Krishnamurti has to say, and I also thank Sandesh and his team for organizing this workshop on a very important topic. So once again, welcome, sir, and I welcome all the participants and request them to make this session as interactive as possible so we can get maximum advantage of Dr. Krishnamurti's experience. Thank you and welcome once again, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Before we get started, let me throw some light on the purpose of this workshop, as we all would agree that the universities and colleges are the reservoir of researchers who add on to the existing quantum of information. Hence, UGC promotes funded research projects in emerging areas to kindle the research temper amongst the teachers. This workshop aims at enlightening and encouraging participants to plan and write a successful grant proposal. A humble request to all the participants, kindly keep your mics muted and your cameras off to ensure smooth flow of the sessions. Also, you can keep your questions posted in the chat box so that we can take it up during the question answer round. It is my pleasure to welcome our distinguished speaker for today, who is also an eminent research scholar, Dr. V Krishnamurti. I request Mr. Sandesh Gaukar, Webinar Coordinator, to introduce the resource persons.
A very good morning to one and all. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce the resource person for today's session, Dr. V Krishnamurti sir. Dr. V Krishnamurti is presently working as an associate professor in the Department of Management Study, Kongu Engineering College, Erode, Tamil Nadu, a reputed technical education institute of India. He is an eminent research scholar and has over 21 years of rich experience in teaching management subject. He is a gold medalist in MBA and MCOM. He has designed and conducted several management development programs for practicing executives. His research papers are published in reputed journals, which are annexed in Scopus. He is a recognized supervisor for guiding PhD scholars in Anna University, Chennai. He has also presented his research paper in various international conferences, including IIMS and IITs. He has obtained funding from various funding agencies like All India Council for Technical Education, National Human Rights Commission, etc. He is also actively involved in consulting work for leading corporates. He is a reviewer for 10 international journals. He has been invited as a resource person for various workshops and faculty development programs across the country. He is a designer and conducted more than 50 workshops relating to memory power. He has received the Best Faculty Award from Congo Engineering College in the academic year 2019. He has also received the Excellence Teacher in Higher Education Award from Arunai International Research Foundation, the Best Researcher in Finance Award from Integrates Intelligent Researches, Excellent Teaching in Higher Education Award from DK International Research Foundation, the Best Faculty Award from Nehru Arts College, Coimbatore, the Best Faculty Award from Vivekananda College, Tiruchengood. He was also awarded from Congo Engineering College for his involvement and participation in research and development activities during the year 2017 to 2018. I welcome you, sir. And sir, over to you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks from bottom of my heart. Sir, whether my voice is audible? Sir, whether my voice is audible?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, your
yes.
voice is audible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks from bottom of my heart for inviting me as a resource person to share some of my thought process on nuances of writing research proposals and how to approach funding agencies. I would like to place my sincere thanks to the principal and vice principal plus of this program, Professor Sandesh and his team, and research cell coordinators. Again, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to management of these esteemed institutions for given me this opportunity to share my research proposal writing. I consider myself, even though I am getting more than 15 research related grants, still as a learner. Whatever I have encountered, whatever I have experienced during the research, you can also ask at the end of the session, or you can also post your queries in the chat box. I'm ready to out. I will share the materials, whatever the materials to the coordinator of program. You can also collect this. So if you have any doubt or clarification, feel free to ask your doubt. Your doubts are always welcome with red carpet. Okay. There is a proverb. Fools will be respected only in his house. Fools will be respected only in his house.
Sir, sorry for the interruption.
Yes.
Sir, can
Yes,
I have
madam.
a minute? Sir, if you're presenting your screen, then it is not visible to the participants.
Madam, now it's visible, ma'am.
So, hope I'm audible to you.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, madam.
But
Okay,
it is not in the slideshow mode.
now it's in the slides.
Yeah.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. We can
see
see
it
now.
clearly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay. There is a proverb in Sanskrit. Fools will be respected only in the house. King will be respected only in the kingdom. Leader will be respected only in the organization. Whereas knowledgeable person or Vidyapati will be respected all over the world. If you take teacher, earlier, the role of teacher is totally different. It is totally changing. Earlier, only handling classes alone will be the main job of the teaching. Now, gone are the days. Now, the teacher is supposed to write funding proposals. The teacher is supposed to get funding from leading funding agency. The teacher is or faculty member is supposed to do some consultancy work. At the end of the workshop, definitely you will have some takeaway. Why? This is just I would like to share some basic information about funding proposals. Normally, let's take funding. Several organizations are readily available to give a funding. Let's say, for example, UGC, AICTE, plus Icssr, NHRC, National Human Rights Commission for Women, NCW, National Commission for Women, Ministry of Environment, several ministries. If you go to Ministry, Commerce Ministry, Education Ministry, let's take any ministry, you will get some funding that is even foreign affairs. But to writing agencies, how to submit the funding proposals, what are the content of the funding agencies before submitting funding proposals and other things. Okay, what is the institutional requirement, what is the individual requirement? Once we know this basic nuances, it's very simple. Now most of the people are writing funding proposals, but all the funding proposals may not be selected. Why? Because they may not aware about the coherence or the structure of the funding proposals. Probably they may not aware how to write funding agencies. So you can submit your funding proposals to government agencies. There are several government agencies are there. Even PSU, there is public sector undertaking, also giving some funding proposals to educational institutions for construction of lab facilities, for construction of the building. Similarly, research fellowship. For example, you are you would like to do research in PhD or some other things. So you can also get some fellowship from the funding agencies. Icssr is giving funding for fellowship. Similarly, postgraduate. For example, even UGC, you can also get some research fellowship. AICTE is also giving some research fellowship. You can also you can also get funding to organize national conference or international conference. You can also obtain funding to conduct 1 week short-term training program or workshop on contemporary topic. You can also funding from the funding agencies to go to for presenting your paper to abroad. There are several options are available. Then getting funding is not a tough job. Only thing we should know the nuances. If you want to apply for funding agencies, first we should ask one questions. Then first we should know the institutions. These are the institutional requirement. Funding agencies, before sanctioning funding to your proposals, funding agencies looking for this aspect. For example, whether your institution means where you are working at present, whether your institution has been accredited by NBA, that is National Board of Accreditation, or whether your institution NAC. Plus, sometimes if your institution has autonomous status, means it's an added advantage. If your institution has 12B, 2F status, it is an added advantage. Plus, NIRF ranking. If your institution comes under NIRF ranking, say for example, first to 200 rank, that is a good. It is an added advantage to the particular proposals. Plus, Center for Potential Excellence. Every organization, now even let's take UGC or AICTE or any higher level regulating authorities, they are expecting this from in every organizations, every educational institution. Say for example, Center for Potential Excellence. If your department has been recognized as Center for Potential Excellence, say for example, it could be recognized by even another university or probably any one of the organizations. It is an added advantage. Plus, PhD research center. If your institution is recognized as a research center, approved research center of your affiliating university, it's an added advantage. Plus, if your institution has a PG courses, not only UG courses, it is also added advantage. Plus, if your institution has a basic research facilities means what? Good library facilities. Plus, you can have the database. Say for example, online database. Now several online databases are available. One such database is emeraldinsight.com. Emerald plus EBSCOhost. If you have or JKate, if you have the basic research facilities, in your organization, it is an added advantage. Plus digital library. If you have a digital library in your organization, this is the added advantage. These are the expectation of the funding agencies from the institutions. This is the first part. Similarly, let's take whenever you are applying funding to the funding agencies, you can apply funding to the funding agencies to organize seminar, to organize workshop, to conduct some research program, or you can organize seminar to spread some awareness. For example, let's take, there is a funding agency called NHRC, National Human Rights Commission for National Human Rights Commission. What these funding agencies are doing? These funding agencies sanctioning funding to the education institutions to conduct human rights related workshop. So in such circumstances, say for example, they are expecting something from the principal investigator. Then you can also, for example, you can submit your funding proposals either by the single individual or two or three persons can join together. So what is the expectation of the funding agencies from the principal investigator? First, you should have a PhD. If you have a PhD qualification, it is an added advantage. Another one important thing, you should have a publication, a research publication in Scopus indexed journal or ACA indexed journal. This is very, very important. If you are not having any publications in Scopus, it is a right time, or it's a right time to publish your research paper in Scopus indexed journal. If you have 5 or 6 journal, it's an added. You are indirectly convincing the funding agency that then if funding agency naturally you can able to complete because research way of publishing your research paper in Scopus. Patent, if you have any from the patent expertise in handling the project. For example, area quality, hospital service quality, at least 4 or 5 research paper in your expertise. At least for fast one, very. I'm talking about CA index. Sometimes you might do the research, prepare the thesis. If you have into advantage, but for implement the proposals to funding agencies might employment generation activities, proposals according to the requirement of the fund. We should, one per such probably obligations he may not aware of. This is not admin sending your research proposals. Investigator and co-investigator sort profile 3 pages. What about investigator pages? Just 1 or 2 line means then probably it's very, very difficult to convince the funding agencies. So in such circumstances, what we can do is at least we can join with another person who has some very good publications. These are the requirements of the principal investigator. Okay, now let's take funding of research proposal. Before writing, identify a research interest. You may be next we that you are social science means commerce, economics, management, sociology, anthropology, political science, public administration. These disciplines will comes under social science. So naturally, first we should identify our own research area. From the research area, we should identify some topic. We should work this research proposals for at least 1 or 2 months. We should take some time. I have seen some researchers and when they are getting call from the funding proposals, funding agencies, immediately they will prepare the data, they will prepare the proposals, they will send it to the funding agencies. That is not a good. Another one important thing, topic, you should select the topic according to the requirement of the funding agencies. Mostly social relevant topic. That is very, very important. If you have selected topic, just like your PhD thesis, or sometimes you may be interested in some topic, but the topic may not be socially relevant. In such circumstances, kindly avoid selecting those topic. Next one, selection of the funding agency. This is also very, very important. This is selection of the funding agencies. There are several funding in India. We should select the or ACTE plus Icssr so we have we at least proposals this aspect. One is agency. We are going to discuss structure of the structure of the is the same, but the writing proposal for submission researchers last minute research you're supposed to submit in most higher education proposals to the to central team. Say wise one R&D coordinator will go through the funding proposals. For example, if addition so suggestions given by proposals competent proposals to funding agencies. I have seen this time will give pressure to give their agencies when you call for research copy others research, that is not acceptable. If possible, you can also upload your research proposals to any one of the plagiarism software. You can also get the originality report if good. Before submitting funding to apples to there is some softwares are there, and then what should be the minimum? For example, how many identity is acceptable? Only 10 UGC. Next, we once submitting research proposals to the funding agencies. Sometimes you will get call from the research funding. So in circumstances, if it's only one point, just imagine that you have applied funding proposals to one of the funding agencies. Say, for example, Icssr. You can also, for example, when Icssr is giving, sometimes Icssr may invite you to present your funding proposals before the panel. The panel member will might have rich experience. So you should go to the Icssr office. You should make presentation. For example, if sometimes principal investigator may position to go to the funding agencies for presentation. No problem. You can ask your coordinators or co-PA before the funding agencies in such agencies. That is very recommendation. Okay, this is research. Now let's take the proposals. Every research proposal plays very important role in your mind. The research paper, based on the basis of your decisions are guided presentation, proposals and present. So this is very important. You should convince the funding agencies. This is very important. There are two things. Either funding agencies might ask these questions. Either you try to convince me, or otherwise we will convince you why we should not give the funding to these proposals. So convince the funding agencies. Whenever you are getting from the funding agencies, what you can do is you can also get their suggestions to the funding agencies. You can make a proposal should be socially relevant. There must be a flow. There must be a throw. This is very important. Project proposal. How to write funding? Let's take introduction. Let's take the funding proposals to submit an entire research proposal within 2000 words. In such, what we can do is, you might know many things to write. All the concepts, right? You're supposed to write the information, not irrelevant information. You can write some table if you want apologies or some concept. Include this proposals. This is, you are going to give some background information, origin and development information, give international status particular topic. Plus, you can also give the national status. For example, you would like to do research on, you would like to prepare research proposals on international level. You can give this status as status. That means status. What is the national status? Give this kind of agencies are very high expectation. plus you can write the research subject based on the there will be question. We are supposed to do analysis. So based on the statistical analysis, we can get findings. So based on the findings, we can suggestions. Then normally information will be in place very important background plus international tools and made aware about the hypothesis one maybe not this and then complex hypothesis. You might have seen several hypotheses. You can write the proposed hypothesis in very one or two lines. That is enough. Plus, if you want to describe the key constructs, constructs means constructs are any concepts you would like to measure. So you can also give these concepts in the introduction aspect of your research. You can also have some department will be there. Research professor need first you say for example we got a funding from UGC for this project. For example, problem faced by street vendors. So you can write the problems. Next, what you can do is then you can also give justification. Say for example, you can also funding is supposed to need state. What to take approach? One is the inductive approach, another one is a deductive approach. From the hypothesis, we'll test the hypothesis. Finally, we may come to the conclusion. Similarly, let's take inductive approach. Inductive approach means we will observe the pattern. We will observe the pattern based on the pattern. The theory will be what difference your current scenario. You can is of writing review of a controversy research by variables are again from this signs are collect this from the review of literature. The other at least review of literature, that is whenever you write review of literature, at least download your research very good Emerald Insight Insight.com. You can also download any number of papers. Whenever you download papers from reputed database, naturally the authenticity of work will be something higher. Let's take Insight.com. Almost all journals might have been indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. So you can give then as a result of this process, naturally you can get some improvement in your research proposals. Research objective is very, very important. For example, you might ask questions, how many research objectives we can? There is no hard and fast rule that supposed to have only one research objective. You can have any number of objectives, but maximum 4 to 5 is a optimum. Sometimes the research objective will vary from research topic to research topic. For example, alcoholism. Okay. So alcoholism on the next various aspects of research. Based on the research identified, you have identified research topic. For example, whether you are going to a profile or any one other area. You can select any one other topic according to your interest. For example, just imagine that we are trying to do research effect of alcoholism on. Now you can change what impact relation the effect objectives to the family. Okay, next what you can do is you should know your research design, what kind of research design you are going to follow. For example, what is research design? Research design is nothing but it's a blueprint for the entire research. In case you are supposed to give scope of your study, whether your research design can be divided. One is a conclusive research design. Under conclusive research design, research design, casual conclusive, exploratory. You can how whether you are going to use how you are going to method you are going. Two types of sampling methods are non-random sampling method, sampling, random sampling means what is non-sampling? Instead of non-random sampling, all the population units will not have equal opportunity of being selected as a sample. That is an example for non-random sampling. So see, let's take the research design. Now already we discussed exploratory, conclusive. If it is exploratory research, you should clearly mention these aspects in your research proposals. Whether your study is exploratory research design or conclusive research, descriptive research, you can also you're supposed to mention your research design is a cross-sectional research design or longitudinal research design. There is a difference between cross-sectional and longitudinal research design. What is cross-sectional? If you have collected, you are going to collect data from the single individual only once during the entire research proposals. It is said to be cross-sectional research design. Whereas what is a longitudinal research design? You are going to collect the same data from the same respondents over a different period of time. Means it is a longitudinal research design. Similarly, what kind of data you are going to use? Primary data or secondary data? Primary data means the data collected by the researcher for the first time is termed as a primary data. What is secondary data? Secondary data means the data might have been collected by somebody else, but you are going to make use of now. Plus, whenever you are going to use secondary data for writing research proposals, you should be very careful about this. For example, you should know what kind of methodology used to collect the data. Sometimes what kind of methodology, whether they have collected this data by way of questionnaire method or interview schedule method or observation method, at least you should know. Plus accuracy of the data is very, very important. You should also ensure this aspect. When the data were collected, for example, data might have been collected 2 years back, 3 years back, 5 years back, 10 years back, 20 years back. If when data might be collected more than 10 years, what is the use? There is no use. Next one, objectives of the data. For example, what is the purpose for which data were collected? What is the purpose of this data collection? Whether this data has been collected by the government or whether this data has been collected by some private organizations. Okay. Next one, content of the data, dependability. Whether we can believe this data. For example, there is a database called CMI, Center for Monitoring Indian Economic database, because it dependable one process about your to define the next you should determine sample size, then you can access. You should write in 1 or 2 sentences in your research proposals. One is customers availing loan from the commercial bank, private sector commercial bank. That is a study population. Sampling framework means then customer database is said to be sampling framework. Sometimes it is always better to use random sampling, but sometimes it is not possible, because if just imagine that you are not getting any sampling frame from the particular organizations. In such circumstances, it is very difficult. You can use non-random sampling. Under non-random sample judgment plus sampling you are going to use. Next, determine. You are going to size. We cannot determine the sample size on our own. That is a formula. There is a formula. Based on this formula, we can determine the sample size. Probably you might aware about this formula. N equal to Z stat6 at 5% plus then Z stat6 at 5%, standard deviation at pilot study divided by error rate whole square, then whole square. This is a formula for determining sample size. Everything should be included in your sampling design process. Okay, there are different sampling techniques. Are there probability sampling? Whether you are going to use snow probability sampling means whether we are going to use simple random sampling, systematic, other sampling technique. We can also include this we can also write the hypothesis. That is, hypothesis is nothing but it's a tentative assumption about the population. The main what is the main objectives of researcher? Every researcher would like to disprove the null hypothesis. What is null hypothesis says? Null hypothesis says that there is no significant difference between the two variables. That means the existing system is good. We need not move on to the new system. Okay. So similarly, null hypothesis, you can also write null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Researcher always wants to disprove null hypothesis. Apart from this, there are several hypotheses. Are there simple hypothesis? Simple hypothesis means it predicts the relationship between independent and dependent variable. That is only one independent variable, only one dependent variable. In case of complex hypothesis, more than one independent variable, more than one dependent variable. Similarly, let's take, there is another one hypothesis called directional hypothesis. What is directional hypothesis? Directional hypothesis predicts the direction of the relationship among independent and dependent variable. For example, this is an example for directional hypothesis. High quality of management education will lead to high quality of managerial skill. This is the, for example, when you offer high quality management education, whether it leads to high quality of management skill, definitely yes. If you can able to predict the direction of the hypothesis, it is termed as a directional hypothesis. Similarly, there is another one concept called non-directional hypothesis. What is non-directional hypothesis? For example, if you are not in a position to predict the influence of independent variable on dependent variable, it is an example for non-directional hypothesis. So next, whenever you write budget proposals, you should give this budget year-wise, activity-wise. You should prepare the budget. Whenever you are preparing the budget, you should ask this kind of question: what kind of equipment is necessary to carry out these research proposals? How many? Sometimes in your department, some equipments may be there. If your department has some equipments, don't ask the same equipment from the funding agencies. Next, you should also inform this information. So you should also, you are supposed to ensure this information, whether you are going to purchase the equipment. Period of time. Non-recurring, this expenditure might occur only one during the project. For example, purchase of some equipment. Budgeting means funding, giving the funding limit. Less than 6 lakh. You can, okay. Sorry. And employees, or parents, or industry. So you can write this information. There is your stakeholders. Sometimes some proposals might be rejected. Why some research proposals are rejected? Because the research proposals are may be rejected. Why? Because the requirement of the equipments, requirements for equipment or personals, requirement of the persons may be unrealistic. So naturally, the funding proposals might be rejected. Another one important thing, say for example, it appears that other responsibilities, sometimes you have different responsibility in your education institutions. You may be the dean, or you may be the head of the institutions, or you may be the curriculum development in charge, or you may be the Icssr coordinator, you may be the industry institute partnership cell coordinator, you may be the placement in charge, you may be the class advisor, you may be the academic coordinator, you may be the research coordinator. Just imagine that you have several responsibilities in your education institutions. Okay, if you have shown all the responsibilities to the funding agencies, probably the funding agencies might think this person has several responsibilities. So how he can discharge this responsibility? It is not possible. They may think otherwise. Okay. Normally, when we have been invited to present our funding proposals before the committee members were asking these questions. You have 4 or 5 responsibilities in your education institutions. So can you able to spare your valuable time? We said that is possible. We can able to convince. Okay. Next, okay. These are the basic this kind of basic information you should. These are the basis of the structure of the research proposals. Now, I would like to take one research proposal format. This research proposal, this is a format of Icssr. Any one of the participants can kindly confirm whether you can able to see this Word file. Any one of the participants kindly? Yes, whether you can able to see the Word file now? Research proposal format. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And this is the research proposal format. This is the format given by, for example, you would like to apply funding to the Icssr, okay, Indian Council for Social Science Research. So, see, in all, the research proposals all be in about 3,000 words, comprising of the following sections. Okay, say for example, how many sections are there? Almost, say for example, more than I think more than, say for example, 14 sections are there. Let's take first one, title of the research proposals. Title of the research proposal. How the title of the research proposal should be? The title of the research proposal should have a clear, meaningful, and confirmed topic reflecting the scope of the study. Next, then abstract. Whenever we write funding proposal, at the end of the funding proposal, we should write abstract. What should be the maximum length of the abstract? Maximum you can have 200 words. 200 words. During the abstract, you can include the objectives of the study, purpose or objectives of the study. Next one, you can write what kind of methodology you are going to use for collecting data. There is a research design. You can include scope of the study, research design, sampling design, plus data collection design, plus what kind of statistical tool you are going to use. So this finding will be useful to whom. You can include this information under abstract. Next one, introduction of the research proposals. Already we have seen introduction. During the introduction, say for example, introduction maximum 400 lines. You can write all the introductions aspect within 400 lines. So during the introduction of your research proposals, you can give background information, national status, then international status, plus major works reviewed. Major works reviewed means what? It is nothing but review of literature. Say for example, national and international review. At least you can review. You can give at least 15 to 20 significant national or international research work. All 15 to 20 should be the latest one. For example, 2022 or 2020, 2021, 2020, plus 2019, 2018, 2017. At least you can write the latest review. That is very important. Don't write 10 years old review. That is not acceptable. Next one is, say for example, based on the research review of literature, what you can do is you can also identify the research gap. That is very important. For example, what is the main objectives of research gap review of literature? The main objectives of review of literature is to identify the research gap. So you can write the research gap like this. Even though several study has been conducted all over the world, most of the study has been conducted in Western perspective. Therefore, the researcher is intended to fill the gap by way of studying this research topic. This is the way by which you can write the review of literature. Say for example, what should be the research gap? Maximum 300 words. See, abstract 200 words. Abstract should be written within 200 words. Plus introduction should be written within 400 words. Next one, review of literature, 300 words. So actually this limit is given by the funding agencies. In such circumstances, we should adhere the limit given by the funding agencies. Next one, identification of the research gap. It should be within 300 words. Next one, objectives of the study. Next one is objectives of the study. And then naturally the general aim of the study along with the specific objectives. Your entire objectives, you should write entire objectives within 100 to 150 words. That this is very important. You should not go beyond 100 to 150 words. Plus research questions plus research hypothesis. You can also include research questions and research hypothesis. Already we have seen what kind of research design you have. For example, your research design may be exploratory, whether you are going to use exploratory research design or conclusive research design. You should clearly indicate this in your research proposals. Okay. Say for example, let's take what should be the maximum words you can write. Maximum you can write 150 to 200 words. 150 to 200 words you can write. Plus framework and proposed for research work. For example, you can also, if you have some research model, you can also write this in your research proposals. This should be, you can write this within 300 words. Framework and methods proposed for research. That means what kind of statistical tool you are going to use. Normally, if you take any research, you can use two types of statistical tool. One is a parametric test, another one is a non-parametric test. What is parametric? What is non-parametric? What is parametric test? If any test is considering mean as a base means naturally you can use parametric test. If any test is considering median as a base, you can use non-parametric test. What kind of statistical test you are going to use? For example, if it is a parametric test, means you can use t-test, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, MANOVA, MANOVA, confirmatory factor analysis, cluster analysis, conjoint analysis, confirmatory factor analysis. So you can also include this information under this heading. Plus innovations or path-breaking aspects of research. Whenever you do some research, there must be some innovation from your research. If you have any idea or any innovative aspects in your research proposals, you can also include this. I can give an example for innovations or path-breaking aspects of the research. Actually, we did some research to one of the organizations. Actually, these organizations have producing coffee. So we got some, this is a private organization, but we got some consultancy work to get to from these organizations. They wanted to know the coffee consumption habits. What is the innovations we found was most of the women employees working in, this is one of the finding, most of the women employees working in the software industry or software, they would like to quench their thirst. After 7 p.m. That means in such circumstances, what we gave was, this is one of the innovations, because this will be very useful. This information will be very useful for HR department. Okay, For example, now almost most of the people were addicted for drinks, or most of the people evening, let's take evening, most of the people were under the intoxicated condition. Not all, most of the people. So whenever we recruit people, we should give more emphasis on the discipline aspect or some habitual related aspects. So this is one of the innovation. Similarly, you can also give any one of the innovations of your research proposals. Next one, proposed outcomes of the study. What is the proposed outcomes of the study? For example, you can write the brief note on proposed plan of publications. What's your proposed plan of publications? How many research paper you are going to publish if you got the research proposals? Kindly write this and then the researcher might propose to publish at least 2 research paper in Scopus or Web of Science indexed journal, or at least UGC approved journal. This is very, very important. Then, so at least this is one thing. Another one important thing, say for example, the proposed, whatever the informations you are getting from the funding out of your research proposal, this can be used. This can be used for the policy implications of the government. So you can write like this. Say, for example, the proposed finding would help the policymakers in general or educational institutions in particular to formulate suitable policies relating to the particular topic. So, okay. So this should be written minimum 150 to 200 words. This is very, very important. Okay. Plus new data to be generated as a result of your research proposals, whether you are going to generate any new data. If you can able to generate some new data, you can also include this. Plus relevance of the proposed study for policy making. What is the relevance of the proposed study for policy making? You can give this information. For example, nowadays, let's take the recent research paper. They might give this column, managerial implication of the study. So what is meant by the term managerial implication of the study? What is then the findings of the study would help the management in formulating suitable policies. Okay. Plus relevance of the proposed study for the society, because you are getting taxpayers' money. So at least your project should have some relevance to the society. So what is the relevance of proposed study for the society? You can write this information around 200 words. Plus milestone set for the study for the quarterly timeline. Say for example, you can also give this information. Say for example, timeline, when you are going to your plan, when you are going to obtain funding. First, once you obtain funding, what is the first activity? How many years you are going to take, or how many years, how many months you are going to take. Plus next, for example, review of literature, when you are going to collect review of literature, when you are going to collect some other materials, there is data collection, when you are going to submit your research thesis. Everything you should include in the funding proposals. Okay. This is there is a normally work can be classified into 2 types. One is a hard work, another one is a smart work. What is a smart work? Before writing funding proposals, kindly go through the particular funding agency's website. Actually, this information has been downloaded from the Icssr website. Say, for example, these are the list of proposals approved by the steering committee of the Icssr. Let's take funding proposals. Name of the funding proposals: evaluation of health promotion schemes jointly offered by government and dairy cooperatives of Gujarat. Okay. Say, for example, this funding proposal has been accepted. Economic evaluation and benefits of restoring and particular ecosystem. Next one, problem and prospects of rural transformation. Normally, whenever you write funding to the Icssr, kindly focus your attention on this area. For example, media, your funding, maybe you can write funding relating to media or culture, society, health and environment, employment skill, and rural transformation. If you have any idea, naturally you can get funding from the funding agencies. We should not write our own subjects, commerce or management. You should prepare the funding according to this aspect. For example, urban transformation. So this is the area. So you're exploring efficient solutions for management of household waste. Management of household waste. How? What is the efficient solution for management of household waste? A multi-stakeholder approach. Okay, this is a social relevant topic. Okay, so you should prepare the topic like this, or otherwise impact of privatization of higher education in Arunachal Pradesh, a critical study, because you all aware about this. We have liberalized our Indian economy in the year 1991. So what is the impact of privatization of higher education in your locality? You can also study. You can also prepare the project. Similarly, let's take these are the Indian family system at crossroads, the politics and changing trends in selected Malayalam films. See, then this will comes under media, culture and society. So kindly go through this kind of information in the funding agency's website. You can get some insight. So based on which, what you can do is you can start preparing. You can start preparing the funding proposals. Okay, there are. So I will send this information. Kindly go through this informations. Now let's take. I would like to discuss some funding proposals. Actually, this is a. You can also send funding proposals to various funding agencies. This is one of the funding proposals prepared by us. We have sent these funding proposals to AICTE to organize national level short-term training program on time series and panel data using e-views and strata. So need for the program. First we should write. This is something different. What we discussed so far was the research project. This is something different. This is for organizing some funding related workshops, organizing workshop related to time series analysis, need for training program. About the program, they given some time limit, words limit. So then we should not deviate the words limit about the training program. So about the training program, when you write about the training program, this information should convince the panel members. That is very, very important, because they will not give funding just like that. They will go through the funding proposals, and then at least if your funding proposals is impressing, naturally you may be called on for presentations. Plus objectives are the funding objectives of this training. What is objectives of this training programs? You can write the objectives in the 1 or 2 sentences, or otherwise you can also write the objectives in the form of paragraph. Plus dates of the proposed training program when you are going to conduct this kind of programs, plus expected outcome of the training program. This is very, very important. For example, we wrote like this: academician and researchers working in the field of finance, economics, banking and statistics attending these training programs all immensely benefit by enhancing their knowledge in time series and panel data research analysis. Okay, so next, nature of, say for example, name of the resource person for the proposed workshop. You can write the name of the resource person, you can write the designation of the resource person, you can write the organizations where the person are at present working, plus training program model. You can, for example, we have prepared this for 6 days. So first day, this is our training model. First one, regression basis plus usefulness. You can also give this justification. Similarly, let's take model adequacy test. You can also give justification for the topic. Why you have given, why you have chosen the particular topic. At least you can give some informations. Okay. Next one, expected participants. How many participants you have expected? For example, we have expected 50 participants, 50 numbers. For example, if sometimes this expected participants might be fixed by funding agencies, so we should not ask more number of participants. This is a budgeting. This is a budget indicating income and expenditure. For example, remuneration. We are going to give remuneration, travel and stay of the resource persons, travel and stay kit for participants, course kit, invitation, printing, posting, refreshment, lunch, flex, banner, certificate, then miscellaneous expenses. You can also include miscellaneous expenses. Okay. So this is a way. This is the way by which we can write funding proposals. I will also I would like to discuss another one proposal. Say for example, Icssr seminar proposals. Okay, this is the Icssr seminar proposal. This proposal is related to organizing workshop. See, this is a proposal. First, you should prepare the proposals. Next, you can upload all the proposals. Sometimes the proposals may be asked. Now, almost most of the funding agencies were asking the researchers to send the proposals through online. Say for okay. Similarly, say for example, this is another one, proposals. This proposal we got funding from these funding agencies to organize training program on human rights for students. Training program on human rights for students, that is NHRC, plus name of the institutions or organization name, plus credibility or status of the institute or organizations. We have seen what is the institutional requirement. What is the institutional requirement? Say for example, our institution is a autonomous institution plus NIRF ranking. We got very good ranking in NIRF. Most of our program has been accredited with NBA. Plus, we have a research center. We have PG. We have a very good database. So you can write this information under the credibility of the institutions. Okay. Plus, theme of the training program. What is the theme of the training program? Plus, proposed date, venue. Naturally, address of the institutions or organizations. Say for example, normally funding agencies might send the funding only to the organizations, not the individuals. Say for example, what is the name of the organizations, your account number, phone number, fax number, mobile number, mail ID, everything should be given. Plus aim of your organizations, plus impact of the training program. What is the impact of the training program during the short run, plus long run, name and designation of the conveners of the program. For example, who is a convener or coordinator, next one co-coordinator, bank details and office bearers of the authorized to receive financial assistance from NHRC. Normally the funding agencies will send funding to the principal of the college. From the principal of the college, we can get the funding. Next, then details. This is a bank account details. Plus resource person identified for the training program. So normally we have 4 sessions. So we should identify 4 resource persons. Next, you should write the program details. What is the program details of this funding proposals? Introduction to human rights, plus human rights institutions in India, rights of women and children, rights of other vulnerable group. You should write all the informations. Okay, this will comes under program schedule. What is the expected number of participants? Okay, what is the expected number of participants? We are expecting 100 participants. Next one, reading materials, whether you are going to give reading or materials to the participants. Okay. Next one, this is a estimated expenditure. I have seen some research proposals. Okay, they might doing research. They might asking funding to organize some workshop or seminar. In such circumstances, don't ask computer facilities from the funding agencies or laptop facilities from the funding agencies. That is not advisable. For example, meals and tea charges. This information has been given. Sometimes the estimated expenditure might be given in the funding agency's proposal itself. You can copy the same format as it is. Okay. Plus, did any previous training program conducted in partnership with union organization, Government of India? That means so far how many proposals, how many activities you have carried out so far. So you can also collect this information from your research cell of the institutions. Okay, previous program, sometimes once you have submitted, once you have obtained funding from the funding agencies, next what you are supposed to do is you should submit UC, that is utilization certificate. You should get UC from the auditor. So for example, we got several funding from these funding agencies. So first, for example, UC submitted, final settlement revealed, everything should be given in the funding proposals. Finally, undertaking. This undertaking, you should give this under, there is undertaking, we should give this undertaking. Normally, the head of the institution should give this kind of undertaking. Plus, this is a brief information about coordinators and co-coordinators. Okay, these are the basic nuances. Similarly, if you take any funding agencies, the funding agencies, the structure will be the same for almost funding agencies. Sometimes the format might be slightly different. So we should know the structure and format, then you can apply to any funding agencies. Similarly, there are several funding agencies. Say, for example, there is a funding agency called NCW, that is National Commission for Women. National Commission for Women. This is one of the funding agencies. Okay. Say, for example, what is the topic? A study on the stress factors of migrant women workers in construction industry. This is a topic. Okay. So we have sent these funding proposals to NCW. NCW means National Commission for Women. Okay. Introduction. They are not given any restrictions. So introduction plus review of literature. In review of literature, first we should write only the international status. Whenever we write international status, actually we have sent the proposals to 2 years back, 2019. So we should start our review of literature from 2018, next to 2017, next to 2016, 2020. This is the international status plus national status, international status, national status plus objectives of the study, research methodology, research design, area of the study, universe of the study, sampling procedure, selection of sample size, questionnaire design, time needed for interview, pilot study, data sources, method of data processing and tools used for analysis. Okay, next one, this is a bank related details. Okay, this is a basic information about the research. There is a principal investigator and co-investigator. This is the activity plan. You should put the activity plan during your research proposals. For example, let's take this funding. Actually, the maximum period of this funding is 12 months. So at the end of the 12th month, we are supposed to submit some research project to the funding agencies. So what we can do is, say for example, you can divide the activity like this: receive grant, problem first month you are going to receive grants. Next, you are going to spend 3 months time to this information. There is problem identification, initial survey, review of literature, plus questionnaire design and pilot study. For data collection, data entry, how many months you are going to take. Finally, for example, final report, when you are going to submit this final report to funding agencies. This information has been clearly given in the work schedule. This is to be work schedule or otherwise work plan. So these are the basic informations. Similarly, several funding agencies are available. Once you go through the funding agencies, definitely you can get some idea. You can also prepare funding proposals. You can send it to the funding agencies. In short, just I would like to recapitulate whatever we discussed so far within 5 minutes. Then if you have any doubt or clarification, you can ask your queries. Funding plays very, very important role for the development of the educational institutions. If you want to grow further from one stage to another stage, funding plays very, very important role. Earlier, the teaching, if you take teaching profession, the main objectives and the main functions of teacher is to handle the class. That was a main job duty. Now gone are the days. Now it has been totally changed. They are supposed to do some consultancy work, plus they are supposed to do some research paper publication, plus they are supposed to get funding from different funding agencies. There are several funding agencies are available in India as well as foreign countries. UGC, AICTE, NHRC, NCW. There are several funding agencies are there. Similarly, let's take go to the ministry of particular ministry website. Every ministry will have some funding opportunities. Okay. So if you want to get funding, there are two components. First one is the institutional requirement. What should be your institutional requirement? Next, you should know what should be the individual requirement. Already we have seen how institution should be, how individual should be. Next, we have seen the structure of the funding proposals. Under structure of the funding proposals, we have seen the introduction, how introduction should be, how objectives should be, how research design should be. We have seen how hypothesis should be, how sampling design should be. We have seen. Next, what we have seen is we have discussed the real one fund proposals format given by Icssr. Plus, we have discussed 2 or 3 funding proposals, model funding proposals. One is sent to AICTE, another one is sent to Icssr, another one is sent to NCW. So, if you have an idea to prepare funding agencies, initially you will have some hiccups, but once you enjoy the experience, definitely it will be very wonderful experience. Okay. With this, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the organization. There is this organizations for giving me this wonderful opportunities. Now, if you have any queries or any doubt, you can ask your queries or doubt. I am ready to clarify your doubt. You can also post your queries in the chat box, or you can ask your queries. I am ready to clarify your doubt.
We appreciate and thank you, sir, for familiarizing our audience with the prerequisites to apply for funds and also for providing substantial information on the structure of a successful research proposal. Now it's time for the question answer session. So I'm requesting participants, if you at all have a question, please turn on your mic and ask. You can also type your question in the chat.
Yes. If you have any queries, you can also type your queries in the chat box. Okay. Will UGC start funding for minor or major project? Yes. UGC might giving funding to minor and major project. Not only UGC, even Icssr. Icssr is also giving funding to the minor and major project. There is no difference between minor and major project, but if it is a minor means, for example, the period of the project would be something. Major means the period of the project should be something higher, but at the same time the methodology and other aspects will be the same. Not only, even when you go to UGC, you can get different types of information. Just I will show you the Icssr website. Icssr website. This is the websites of Icssr, Indian Council of Social Science. This is the websites, Icssr websites. Say for example, let's take programs. For example, fellowship. You wanted to apply for the fellowship from the Icssr. So there are several fellowships. For example, national fellowships are there, senior fellowships are there, postdoctoral fellowships are there, doctoral fellowships are there. national fellowship, for example, senior fellowship. This fellowship will applicable to the person whose age is 45 to 70 years. Postdoctoral means you should be below 45 years. Okay. Similarly, this is one thing. So not only this, say for example, let's take research project. So they have given funding for research project. They have given the format. For example, for getting research project. For example, format for audit statement. How your audit statement should be format. Plus, for example, progress report. We should send the progress report. Then format. Plus UC certificate, utilization certificate format. Everything will be given in the website. Not only this, they are also given some funding for international collaboration research. For example, cultural exchange research, financial assistance for participation in international seminar, conference and data collection abroad, financial assistance for organizing international seminars, conferences, workshops in India. Not only this, they are also offering funding to this, that is training and capacity building. For example, these disciplines are eligible. For example, economics, management, commerce, sociology, social work, anthropology, cultural studies, plus social linguistic, general studies, health studies, political science, international business, international studies, public administration. So kindly go through this information in the Icssr website. Not only this, even research study, again proposals are invited from the participants. So kindly go through the Icssr website. So similarly, let's take, I can give one information. Indian Council for Foreign Affairs. Indian Council for External, Indian Council for External Affairs. You can also visit the Indian Council for External Affairs. Okay. Now, just I am telling one examples. See, let's take, when you go to the ministry, you can also navigate, say for example, events, forthcoming events. So what is the forthcoming events? There is no events is related to funding proposals. Okay. The next, see here, ICWA grant. Okay. You can click ICWA grant. Say for example, let's take first one, call for conference grant, call for guest column, foreign policy awareness scheme, call for book proposals, university outreach program. For example, I am interested in this. Means naturally you can type like this. Okay. For example, foreign policy awareness scheme. You can read the content. You can prepare the proposals. Okay. You can send these proposals to this place. For example, DTG office, Indian Council of World Affairs, New Delhi. Then phone number, email ID. You can also send your proposals to the Google. There is a mail ID of the particular funding proposals. Okay. So this is what organizations, there is funding organizations are expecting. Okay. Any other queries?
Thank you, sir, for that fruitful answer. I must say, please do not miss this opportunity and please ask questions. A couple of instructions for the participants. If you open the chat box, you will see a feedback link. Please fill up the link to avail the certificate of the workshop. Thank you, participants. You have been a wonderful audience today. May I now request the convener of the research cell, Dr. Lira Gama, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Samiksha. Good afternoon to all. I'm happy to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, my sincere gratitude to our resource person, Dr. V Krishnamurti, Associate Professor, Department of Management Studies, Kongu, Engineering College, Tamil Nadu. Sir, we are grateful that you willingly accepted our invitation to conduct this very informative and helpful workshop. With such an excellent presentation, I can assure you of an increase in the research culture, not only in Goa, but in India. Thank you, sir, once again. A sincere word of appreciation to all the participants. Your wholehearted response has made the workshop possible and successful. I'm confident that you all have gained considerably from our resourceful speaker. Back home, a big thank you to Vidya Vikas Mandal's management, principal, and vice principal for supporting and promoting such initiatives. The technical staff of our college, your support has ensured the smooth sail of the workshop. Words of appreciation to my very enthusiastic colleague, Assistant Professor Sandesh Gaonkar, workshop coordinator, for working backstage to make this workshop happen. Thank you once again. Happy weekend.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Kindly switch on your cameras.
We'll have a group photograph, so requesting all the participants to please turn on your cameras. Thank you, everyone.
Now you.
Form. Thank you.
Sir, shall I leave, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir. No problem, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you.